merkt schon drauf, bei Jazz Thing TV, Nabil Atassi ist hier mit Jana Herzen, aber ich darf Jana Herzen sagen, so wie man es hier in Deutschland ausspricht. And we switched over to English because you came here from the US. You are the CEO and mastermind of Motema Records, and you are celebrating anniversary of 20 years. So yeah, 20 years of Motema Records. Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
What's that?
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing, it's interesting always times that we're living in, but I'm hanging in there in a good way.
You're writing in here. You say it's been an amazing journey, 20 years of running a label in pretty hard times to run a label, actually. So tell us about the past 20 years, what happened?
Okay. Past 20 years.
Long story.
It's a long story. Well, it is interesting. Even when I first started the record label, I was a musician. Honestly, I was trying to find an outlet for my music, and I was researching the whole record industry. And it was a time when just when the CDs had completely gone away and it had gone to digital marketing. So, for digital downloads and things like that, but before streaming, right? So you watch all these different waves of things happening. But when I did first start the label, I talked to one executive from a major label. I won't say who it was, that I ran into in Europe at a trade show, and he said, "Don't you realize this industry is going in the toilet?" and I said, because he heard I was starting a new label, and I said, I thought to myself, maybe he just doesn't have a great attitude, So it's been hard since the beginning, but our focus has been really on the art and to give opportunity for artists who truly have a vision to express themselves their own way. It's not like we're not that record label that says, do this and do that, we're going to make you a star. It's more like we see what that talent is and give them that moment to shine.
You said you were starting in pretty unsecure times, pretty hard times. So how did you manage to navigate this thing through the times changing?
Well, honestly, I hired people to work with me and also engaged different partners who were very good and worked together. One of them was actually Götz Brüller, who works with Jazz Thing, and he was on he was the director of the Membran's A&R department, and we worked very closely together in the early years of Motema, and that was really how I think Germany really started to blossom. Germany's been very friendly and great to Motema.
You're speaking in the past, so Götz is very busy at the moment, so he's not working with you anymore.
Well, I think he still works with Membran, but we've switched distributions to Pias, which is, the oldest independent distributor here in Europe, and we had the opportunity to work with them, and we thought we would give that a go at a certain point. So we're not working with Membran, but we do work with The Orchard in America, which is connected to that. So, yeah.
Let's have a look at the artists. So here's a little picture of some covers that have been released through Motema Records. Tell us a little bit about the highlights that you might see. I mean, you said you started actually in bringing out your own music. So you've always been the red, like the constant that has been going through the label yourself?
Yes, that's true. My own music it's what started the label, and I continue to play music. And in fact, we have an album coming out this year with Charnett Moffett and myself. We've been music partners for many years, but maybe many people know, I don't know, that he suddenly died on me last year. It was a very, very difficult year for me last year because we had been married for 3 years, and it was really a beautiful relationship, marriage, music, life, spirituality, and that changed my whole life last year. So I'm in the process of kind of recovering from that.
I'm very sorry for that. It's been actually, yes, a year. You said it changed your life. How did it change your life? Like from the bottom to the top?
Well, first off, Charnett had been a friend for a long time. And we always were musically, influenced each other. He was on the label, and we were friends. And last 3 years, we actually got married. We wound up having a relationship at that time, and it was one that was very transformational for both of us. We come from very different worlds, but we really, there was a click there. So it's just, like anyone who has lost somebody very close to them, or, husband, I feel for all the people who have lost somebody. It's really shocking. It's very wrenching because it's like half of yourself goes. And musically also, it's a different world for me right now. But we are releasing a record that Charnett and I made right before he passed. And he was unexpected to pass. It was just sudden.
You said you were talking about this musical partnership, very special one that you've had with Charnett. Just tell me a little bit about it. What was it like?
Charnett, anybody knows Charnett's music. He is a very, very constant creativity. Constant, like everything is always moving in his creativity. And that, for me, I'm a little bit more singer-songwriter, but I began playing music in his band, playing guitar in his band, which was really very wide opening because he's a free jazz artist, with also free, world music influences. We have a lot of the same musical influences in our music. That's why we clicked, but to play in his band was very freeing for me, and it really opened up a lot of horizons. And, to give him a platform on Motema was always a pleasure for me, just like for many of the other really great artists on the label, like Jerry Allen or Joey Alexander or Gregory Porter. They were all people. Jerry had a career before she came to me, but say Gregory Porter or Joey Alexander or Pedrito Martinez, Diva Mahal, we gave them their very first record. And there's something very special about being able to nurture somebody's career when it's just starting and to be able to open a door and let them express themselves. So it's working with Charnett was, I don't know, he was a very spiritual man, and he brought a spiritual level to the music that whatever would happen when you play, you never knew what was going to happen next. And this for me was, it was a new way to play, to be that free, to just follow. But it became very, I like to say sometimes I was Charnett's bass player, because I would hold things down so he could be very free to fly. And so we had a good time doing that for each other, to give ourselves both a chance to fly.
Sounds like a great liberation. Do you feel like you are maybe carrying his heritage into the future a little bit musically?
I will make every effort to do so, both in promoting his, catalog that he has, and also he used to say, well, you're my what he's got, I forget the word, like protege, he would say sometimes as a musician, because I was like kind of like an open sponge in a certain way, because I never was a jazz guitarist to play in other people's bands. I played my own music, I wrote it, other people played with me. So that opportunity, I was like an open slate for him, and he would just tell me where he wanted me to go, and I would just, okay, sure, we'd do that. So it became, I became to understand his kind of what, he worked with Ornette Coleman, and also with many other people, but Ornette was the one who most influenced him with the harmonics. And I used to call what Charnett did charmelodics, because it was something in the same zone as that kind of free jazz that Ornette did, but it was always rooted with a groove, and it always had like a world music influence. He would always have that going on inside of it. So yes, I hope to carry it on. He's totally irreplaceable as a musical personality. This is one of a kind. So that I can't carry on.
You've been just dropping some names of artists that you've been releasing on your label. Could you maybe highlight some of the most important records of the past 20 years on Motema Records for us?
No. Well,
Joey Alexander was one name.
Yeah, Joey, definitely. I think Gregory Porter, we put Gregory on the map, and he put us on the map also. I have to put that, my hat off to him for that.
So that's a milestone.
What's that?
That's a milestone.
It was our first Grammy nomination, and none of us, really thought that we would have that opportunity. And Gregory was, at that time, really just a singer looking for a gig at that moment, But we could tell he was incredibly talented, Actually, I always like this story about Gregory because he came in. Gregory can sing any style, you know. And when he came in to meet with me for making a record, I said, well, what kind of record do you want to make? And he said, well, I can make a kind of like a soul record, or I can make a kind of more like, you know, folk rock almost record, folk, soul, different things. I said, but what kind of record do you want to make? He says, I want to make a jazz record. I said, well, make a jazz record.
So you did?
Yes, he did. And then he brought the album Water, you know, which was our first Grammy nomination. And then the next record that he brought was Be Good, which is just a beautiful record. Funny story about that one is that sometimes, you know, little things happen, but I do believe that maybe there's other forces involved that do this. But the song Real Good Hands was Gregory's first like major iTunes hit, and we're friends with the guy from iTunes at the time, Garrett Shelton, and Garrett, watching our back, said, hey, you know, I noticed this song, and it had the release date was, I can't remember what the release date was, but it wasn't the right release date. My marketing team somehow had entered the wrong number, but it caused him to hear the song, and which caused him to then promote the song in a certain way. And when it did come out, it was number one, not on jazz, but on iTunes, you know, in the pop arena, and that changed everything for how at that time iTunes was the only game in town for that type of thing before Spotify and everything.
The rest actually is history.
What's that?
The rest actually is history.
Yeah, exactly.
Regarding Gregory Porter, yes.
Yeah, Gregory.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. No worries. Yeah, so, you know, and Gregory went on to get a great deal with Universal and Blue Note and all that. So, but it's, you know, people ask me, well, are you upset about that? And you know, to some degree, you want to keep working with the people, but also when you're a small label, sometimes you want that person to be able to fly. I mean, I didn't have the kind of resource that they put a lot of resource behind him, and I was very grateful that he did get picked up, and that he's still, you know, going around the world making people happy with that music. And Joey Alexander, now that's a story, right? A 9-year-old boy is brought to your attention.
Tremendous piano talent.
Yeah, tremendous talent. But at the time I was like, ooh, a 9-year-old boy does not need a record deal. But as we all discussed it at the label, because they was brought to us especially by Jason O'Lane at Jazz at Lincoln Center, who produced the record. And Wynton Marsalis brought him to New York. That's how he got there. And you know, it was clear if he didn't come with us, he would go with somebody. So I said, well, it's better he comes with us because we will care about him as a human being, as, you know, a little boy, and like to watch after him, because this industry can eat you alive. It really can. So he did the first 4 records with us. And I must say, going into that first studio recording with Joey at age 10, and one part of me was going, you must be nuts going in the studio with a 10-year-old boy. But I will tell you, he went in that studio and he recorded the entire album. There wasn't one punch-in. I don't know if you know, maybe the public doesn't know what a punch-in is, but a lot of times, you know, you make like a little mistake and you can go back in and fix it. But he just didn't make any. Every take was just beautiful and flowed. And he really, I don't know, I always said, I think Joey Alexander is proof that God loves jazz, because how can that be, you know?
Even though you've brought up some names, you know, we've just been talking about 2, Gregory Porter and Joey Alexander. Was it the plan to also stay a bit small, or did you ever think about maybe growing a little bit?
We did grow. I mean,
yes, you did.
We got more and more people working for us, and we, you know, one year we put out 20 records in one year. That was crazy.
Crazy load of work.
It was a lot of work, you know, and some records are more work than others, depending, you know, what type of record it is. And that was a really special year. I think it must have been our 9th year, I think, because then the 10th year was following that. And, you know, I got more people. We had an office in Harlem, which was one key to Motema's kind of success, was to be right there in New York City, where we could go to the clubs and find people and just sort of be on the radar. And, you know, the label did grow. Just before the pandemic, you know, the business got very hard, and I couldn't support that size of staff anymore, and that forced me to have a smaller footprint. We're not putting out as many records right now, but this is our 20th anniversary. Last year, having lost my husband Charnett, it was like I didn't really actually have the heart last year to release some new music. We were planning on touring as a duo. I do really look forward to sharing the music we recorded, because it's a special moment for us. But because it was the 20th, and I had this opportunity to sign this young lady who submitted to me. She's a Mongolian artist.
What's her name?
Shitane Erdenbatter, excuse me, I'm trying to say it correctly. Shitane Erdenbatter. And Shitane is just a magnificent pianist that submitted, people submit through my label. I listen to what I can. I can't listen to everything. It's too many submissions. But she was very, very special. I look forward to sharing this music in the fall. And
we'll have her here tomorrow.
Yes, you're going to have a good chance to talk to her. Very smart, brilliant young lady with a brilliant arranger's mind. She not only has the quartet that's coming in June, but she also has, her quartet is coming in September, but she also has a beautiful duo project and also a chamber jazz orchestra. And so when I saw how much talent, and she's only 25, right? 2 master's degrees. We can all go home and say, okay, well, we didn't do anything. But, and very humble, lovely. You'll enjoy talking to her.
I see you are still able to be excited in new and young artists. So looking into the future of your label that has been 20 years right now, and you're celebrating this anniversary, let's look into the future a bit. So what's going to happen in your thinking, in your planning in the next 20 years, maybe? Will you make it for another 20 years? With the label?
See on that. I do want to say that in the immediate future, I just want to make sure to mention on June 9th, we have a beautiful record called Flamencora.
Yes.
Which is a Volker Gutz's project. He's a trumpet player, and he's had 2 very successful records.
It's in here, isn't it?
He is a Sira and a Monkey Jungti. Yeah, and there you go. You can show that picture. So this is Volker's new project that's coming June 9th, and actually it is there's a single out already which you can hear, Wasant Yala, and it's a mixture of flamenco jazz and kora and vocals and trumpet. It's very
sounds absolutely exotic and really exciting as well.
It's exciting, and it's very soul soothing, and I think people maybe need that these days. So much anxiety that people have from how the world is. Do
you feel that in your environment as well?
Yeah, people feel. I mean, different people have ways to deal with how this world is. One thing that I've shared with Charnett, particularly over the last years, is a certain spiritual look at the world. There's a lot of, interesting information many people maybe don't know that are in the Bible that is happening now. So it's kind of an interesting time for...
you say in the Bible?
In the Bible, yeah. I know most people in the jazz world, they don't ever take a look in the Bible, or they think it's, something not cool or maybe not correct. But actually one thing that I've been studying very deeply is that actually the truths that are in the Bible got very distorted by the Roman Catholic Church. Actually, it's an interesting story. So anyhow, I shouldn't get too far into that.
Yeah, though it's exciting, yeah, maybe. But does it have an impact on your music?
It does, actually. Well, just I really have always been a person. Even Motema, it means heart. It means love, and
there we go with the logo as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Logo, infinite heart, right? And so the teachings truly of Christ actually were all about, what to say, love one another, right? That had nothing to do with the Crusades where they were killing everyone. And so there's actually the history of Christ, if you read it carefully in the Bible, is one that is very beautiful and very not seen in the world because the whole teachings were set aside, and all what we think about as Christianity today is not actually it's not actually following the teachings of Christ. So if anybody was interested to learn more about that, I could share some more, but I don't know if there's a good place to do that here.
Okay, let's keep that and make people contact you for anything that's coming, your new releases, and also the upcoming 20 years. I wish you every luck that is available for you. And thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure. And thank you for having us. And thanks to Jazz Thing for all the support through the years. You know, it's actually been, Jazz Thing has been right behind Motema, and I really appreciated that so very much.
Jana Herzen, we can call her Jana Herzen. Thank you very much.